Well, there it is. Who said elections weren't a good thing? Don't you think this has made Florentino step up his game a little bit? He already had Mourinho, but just a little bit, because Florentino still has to announce his star footballer tomorrow, in theory. That's what he said. Riquelme's star, and now we'll explain what he's done with the notarization issue and so on, is Erling Haaland. He said it on El Hormiguero. And before that, Florentino countered him with something we already knew, but it definitely had a very strong impact, especially because he says it before, on El Hormiguero, you have to wait until the end, the classic TV trick, right? So it was a bit tedious to wait and see who he was talking about. But the announcement about Mourinho, well, they even told Riquelme during the show, during El Hormiguero, and he made a bit of a face like, well, he expected it because it was already known, I insist, but it had its effect, and it definitely did. Well, let's go step by step, because, of course, the thing with Haaland has a lot of angles, Be careful. I mean, be careful that there isn't a denial in a few minutes, and maybe by the time you're watching this video, there has already been a denial. So be careful with this, because it's serious. Well, and of course, he's already set his sights on Rodri. I mean, without a doubt, it's Rodri, but it's hard for him to say Rodri's name. But anyway, Rodri and Haaland would play for Real Madrid if Enrique Riquelme becomes president this coming Sunday. But still, even I see, of course, that Rodri's case is much easier. But Haaland's situation... Now, let's talk about what he said with that letter, with that notarized signature he had in a little folder. And of course, it's not a commitment from the player. It's the commitment that if he doesn't keep his campaign promises, both Rodri and Haaland, and watch out, he still has to announce the coach, and he says he'll do it between Friday and Saturday. He agrees to pay the membership fees, not the season tickets. With all his money, paying for the season tickets would make him go broke, right? Sorry, just the membership fees. And I think it's around 174 or so per year. And this would be a total of, if I'm not mistaken, for 100,000 members, close to, well, it wouldn't quite reach 18 million euros that this man would put in, because, of course, this guy has money to spare. We have to say that too. But only if he becomes president and those two don't come, right? Or if one of the two doesn't come, I think, since he's talked about them as campaign promises he has to keep. Well, how do you guys feel about this? Let me know in the comments. I'll say it again. I think an electoral process was a good thing. Despite all the toxicity that there has been and all of this, which has been very, very unpleasant. But anyway, things are moving faster. I mean, the thing with Connery and the thing with Danfries seems to be done, and it's been sped up. I think Madrid should have sped things up even without elections, since we already did it that way last year. It's true that there was a Club World Cup there before everything, and we had to rush a lot. But, well, look, it turned out well, maybe for Florentino to get his act together. As I said, he still has to announce that tomorrow. About Haaland, how is this going to be? I insist that there could still be a denial. There could still be a denial, but the notarized part is significant because there's a commitment there. Remember that when Florentino announced Figo, the one who talked about the season tickets was Jose Ramon de la Morena. And then Florentino didn't say yes or no. There was a moment when he finally had to admit that it was indeed true. It was an incredible gamble. Florentino made a great move. And in many ways, he has been the first to do a lot of things. In fact, this is actually an imitation of what Florentino did back in the day. In fact, everyone who came after has copied Florentino with the Figo move. Everyone. Nowadays, pulling off a Figo is very complicated. But of course, because it's not like, hey, I present or I have Lamine Jamal. No, that just doesn't happen in this world anymore. It won't happen. Still, you'd be taking City's top star from them. At a complicated time for City, because Guardiola just left, there's a bit of an exodus there. They say Guardiola is also leaving, Bernardo Silva is leaving too, and Rodri wants to go. And why is it hanging over them? The vultures, the scavengers, and they've earned it. They would have earned it because of the sanction from the Premier League for having violated 130 points of financial fair play. So yeah, it was a good spot there to fish, but wow, really, really risky. Hey, you have to give him credit for one thing. You have to give him credit. Now we're watching the video of Mourinho, but you have to give Miguel Serrano credit for one thing here. Fijaos. Look, the other day in El Confidencial, it was, or who was saying it? I don't remember. I think it was El Confidencial. I don't want to make a mistake, but they were saying something like, what if he's not looking in Paris? Careful. Now they're saying that if someone is looking in Paris, maybe it could be Florentino. And what if that big star is Vitinha from Florentino, maybe Mourinho? They also say that he might not agree because he's not that excited about Vitinha. And what if it's some other midfielder? But well, let's wait for that. For now, this is what we have. And Miguel Serrano the other day, Mr. Miguel Serrano, who got the Carreras thing right long before anyone else. Well, he already said this 4 days ago. And in the middle, I insist, there's kind of a denial, like looking the other way, like, hey, maybe it's not Haaland. Is it going to be someone from Paris? Florentino also said he announces players and the agent, remember that Haaland's agent is Rafael Pimenta, tells us no. That's what Florentino said. And even so, hey, there was a moment when I thought it wasn't Haaland, but that's because I got carried away with the story. Well, yes, this man said it. This Wednesday, Enrique Riquelme will announce that Erling Haaland will sign for Real Madrid if he is chosen as president. This was on Sunday the 30th, right? Sunday the 30th, that's correct. No, sorry, Saturday the 30th. I mean, that's even more impressive, right? Even a day earlier. I believe Latico Serrano also mentioned the other figure might be Haaland, but I can't confirm that. Hey, the one who had it confirmed was this man, and credit where credit is due, of course. Let's see in the next few hours why. Florentino still has a big star left. If Florentino comes out tomorrow saying that it's Dumfries, the excitement, well, people will say, damn, we already know that, right? They're expecting something bigger. And on Friday or Saturday, Enrique Riquelme will announce the coach. The coach, I've already said that Mourinho is not in his plans. With the coach on El Hormiguero, Enrique Riquelme has done something strange. And I got the feeling, I don't know, maybe I heard it wrong, but I got the feeling that Pablo Moros was saying to him, well, the coach could have been one before and now another. And Enrique Riquelme says, well, with the arrival of Raúl and Hierro, who are working really hard. Like he said, we are. And also, that's why it was postponed, because in theory, the coach should have been announced earlier. He suggested there may have been a change in direction, possibly considering one person but choosing someone else. And the same might happen with the coach. We'll have to see if he's actually signed, since he says he's already with a club. But with that notarized signature, it's guaranteed. It's not like he has to do one for each person. Of the, well, Hierro, Raúl, who seem clear for those positions at Real Madrid, as sporting director and academy director, and then Rodri, Haaland, and then the coach. He has signed something that says if he doesn't fulfill all his campaign promises, he will pay the membership fee for the Madrid fans, for the Madrid club members. And then also the fact that he commits to not selling even 5%, not even 1%, not even 0.1% of Real Madrid, but the full 100% will remain with its members. Regarding what Florentino Perez wants to do, selling 5%, by the way, a 5%, which, by the way, just to reiterate, also in those occasions when Florentino has referred to this topic. He hasn't ruled out that in the future it could be a higher percentage either. Although I think what has already been explained about this topic, and we've talked about it in other videos for sure, okay? So later on, people don't start saying, no, you're talking nonsense. No. I know Florentino wants the best for Real Madrid, of course. But something is already being sold. I mean, it's already changing. You have to change the bylaws too. You're changing something. And what about me? The only risk from what I've heard, and as we mentioned in the previous video, is that if that Real Madrid subsidiary starts to manage all those issues related to television contracts and so on, of football, of basketball, and the club, the rest of the club is left hollowed out, and it's just a members club. That the law might not force Real Madrid. And that's why they're being very cautious and careful to avoid becoming a sports corporation. What seems impossible today may be possible tomorrow. Florentino or someone else might say, we've had to do this because of the Everton window I've discussed in these videos. So it's still a risky bet. But I always say first that I don't think Florentino would ever want to do that to the members and the club, to Real Madrid. Not a chance. What he wants is to get ahead of things, like he's done so many times, ahead of what's coming, and to say, hey, all these clubs that aren't member associations are getting ahead of me on the left and right in business, okay? And I say that taking a middle road is fine, as long as the law allows it. And since we can't do what Bayern does, we have to do something different. And in this, when you build a stadium, well, remodel a stadium, you want to hold concerts, and you think the neighbors aren't going to complain because you think they're all Real Madrid fans, or because the music won't bother them and they do it. They've been trying to catch Florentino for a while, and don't even get me started on Real Madrid if you're not doing this. And they want to catch you too, because they say you don't follow the law, and they end up making your life difficult because Madrid and Florentino Perez have a lot of enemies. Well, hey, the battle lines are still clearly drawn. I think Florentino is still winning. And besides, he still has the ace of the player while the other has the ace of the coach. But today has been something very interesting. I mean, the other candidate announces Haaland and commits that if it doesn't happen, he'll pay the membership fee to all the Madrid fans, the fee to all the Madrid fans. Well, that's quite a move. And also on a primetime show like El Hormiguero and all that. I mean, strategically and in the media, it's something in his favor, very much in his favor. But Florentino against Programmando has also done very well. And I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I've really enjoyed it tonight. I really liked all of this whole fight, you know? On a day like today, let's see if tomorrow comes. And if it improves Madrid, even better. If we've managed to wake up Florentino, who I already saw is pretty awake, even better. I think that's great. Just one thing, we were talking about it in the previous video. Today, Ciro Lopez said there had been pressure. Ciro said from Florentino, so that today they wouldn't invite Enrique Riquelme to El Hormiguero. And that Pablo Motos, that's what Ciro said, supposedly threatened to take El Hormiguero to 10-3, like saying, you don't impose anything on me, bastards. And you know what? At this point in life, I believe anything at all. I'll just say one thing to finish. That Florentino and Florentino's people were a bit pissed off that this guy went to El Hormiguero today. No doubt about it. But Florentino was also invited to El Hormiguero. Florentino didn't want to appear in an interview with El País, another with Televisión Española, another with El Español. He didn't want to go, though he could have, and could have debated too. It made him mad because that's a normal reaction. Partly because he scheduled it against him like that. Very clever and very good, I think. And also, and that it's a way to make this a historic night, June 3rd. Mourinho and Barra or Haaland. Anyway, I wish you all the best. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel. Please comment, share, hype it up. Please, that really helps a lot. And that's it. See you in the next one. Bye.